In money matters, the JSE was weaker on Wednesday morning along with its global peers as a sell-off resumed due to recessionary fears weighing on sentiment. Matete Thulare is head of FX execution at Rand Merchant Bank, and he joins us now to dissect the latest market moves. A happy Wednesday to you. Thank you very much for availing yourself. So the local bourse is on track to reverse the modest gains it had made so far this week, with the JSE trading below 63,000 points. What's driving that slump?
Good afternoon, Duju. I suppose obviously, yes, it's a happy Wednesday, but I suppose also we really have had a tough open on the JSE this morning. Obviously on the back of international markets also taking a turn for the worst. I mean, already the US markets pulled back quite sharply last night. After our close, we saw the US 10-year yields is rising through 4% for the first time since 2010. And I mean, yesterday you had James Bullard, who is one of the Fed members, coming out to reiterate the Fed's determination to tame inflation. And obviously this means tighter monetary policy. And I think this has spooked markets. And I think even when you just look at it from an equity front and a company perspective, even the likes of Apple, that has also soured the mood globally. I mean, the company is saying that they're going to be cutting iPhone production targets on faltering demand, and also inflation is beginning to bite into consumption, and obviously this is hitting the consumer. Adding to the jitters is obviously the gas situation, where, the geopolitical tension between Russia and Europe and the Ukraine, that is still, very much in the mix. And I think this is the last link where obviously we're delivering gas into the Western Europe, and this is obviously factoring through into, all this risk certainty. So unfortunately, this is obviously hitting the equity markets as well. Already when you just look at the JSE's top 40 index, it is at a 52-week low, and it is 21% below its high that we saw on the 3rd of March earlier this year. So it just shows you that unfortunately, given the risk off and obviously the uncertainty, equity markets and also the currency markets are taking a bit of a hit.
Sure. Kamo ranta ya rona remains under pressure as the dollar soars. Will these declines move into October?
Look, I think if anything, the renewed rand weakness is obviously remaining really relentless. I mean, already this morning we have seen the rand pushing through around that 18.15 level. The dollar is king at this point in time. That we can't take away from the dollar. The White House already yesterday justifying the fact that the strong dollar justifies where the U.S. economy is. The Fed talking about, them being hawkish, and obviously it does feel like there's no strong plan from the G7 for any sort of currency intervention. And already this is factoring through into the two eyes that we keep speaking about, inflation and interest rates. When we just look at the rand at this point in time, we have lost about 5.7% on a month-to-date basis. And already when you just look at it on a year-to-date basis, the rand has lost about 12% against the dollar. And unfortunately, there's quite a lot of risk and events that are still going to happen over the next 3 months as we close off the year. I mean, just in October, we've got the medium-term budget statement from Minister Godongwane. You've also got, in November, the Fed coming out with another potential rate hike. You've got the Reserve Bank locally also coming out with their last meeting of the year. And then, as the much anticipated ANC's elective conference in December, combined with the ratings agencies that will obviously, I don't think they'll be too optimistic about South Africa, given the fact that, we've already had 111 days worth of load shedding this year, and that obviously is going to impact the growth numbers. So obviously that's also going to be something that we need to look out for, and that could also affect the rand. So all in all, look, it's going to be a rough ride for the last 3 months of the year for the rand.
It just doesn't seem to end for gold and oil prices, at least. They're also down. Is the king responsible for this too?
The king, which is the dollar, is responsible for this. I mean, gold has climbed to its lowest level in more than 2 years. And as we say, it's all on the back of a strong dollar. Markets have really turned to the dollar as a safe haven bet amongst all these global recession fears that, the markets are starting to talk about. There's also added pressure on gold, which obviously has a negative correlation with the dollar. Gold has obviously erased most of the gains after what, the Fed chair, James Bullard came out with yesterday about inflation being a serious problem that needs to be addressed. And, for them, when they talk about this addressing of inflation, it is talking about more rate hikes. So it's all about economic doom and gloom that has driven, gold and oil lower. I mean, already you're seeing the oil price a little above $80. You have to wonder also how much more can the OPEC Plus tolerate this, and with the size of output cuts that they've had, they might be considering even doing more like that next week when they meet, especially in the highlights of the new economic environment and also where the prices are at this point in time.
Sure. Doom and gloom, you say. Let's take a look at company news. Ascendus Health has posted financial results for the year ending 30 June 2022. How did they fare?
So, look, if anything, I mean, in the past year, the group has went from being burdened with a mountain of debt of about 8 billion and facing a strong possibility of business rescue. They're not the only company in South Africa that has faced this, but it looks like the group recapitalization program where they've, undertook to reduce their debt and obviously restructure and obviously, dispose of certain assets, that has yielded great results for them. I mean, in July, they said they wanted to raise 100 million rand by issuing new shares. They're expecting their headline loss, to improve by about 2/3. The rights offer, which was oversubscribed, was concluded last month on the 19th of August already. And, this amount is obviously going to be ring-fenced and forms part of the debt restructuring program. And obviously they've come out to say, look, as part of all the things that they're doing, they're not going to issue any dividends for this year and obviously also for this current period, but also those disposals that they have done, that raised about 1 billion rand for them. These transactions have actually enabled the company to substantially reduce their outstanding debt. And obviously for them, this is why the numbers look extremely well. And obviously I think they're on the right path going forward.
Thank you very much to Matete Thulare, Head of FX Execution at Rand Merchant Bank.